You didn't make good your visa.
GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation in 2007. I was Ghana Police Service in
The sad reality is that today, our democracy.
Back in 2012, you are now certain. So I thank you very much, and observers are very grateful. Sometimes you should also contribute. Don't just sit down and watch, because you are part of this game called politics. They should be given a platform to also say one or two, maybe from the video. I'm not breaking the rules. So I want to thank all of you for being here and helping us to promote democracy and build a very strong institution called Ghana. Ghana is for all of us. Let's protect it. Let's help advocate for it, and let's support the EC and the Ghanaian citizens to vote wisely and give Hassan Ayerga and make Hassan Ayerga the president of Ghana. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
Right. On this note, we'll give the closing remarks to the chair of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jane Mensah.
I think I would like to quote from, Dr. Hassan Ayarega's statement, where he said that the EC can never make anybody a president. And I think that we all know that around this table, and therefore we should not peddle misinformation and peddle fake news and disinformation and give the impression to the citizenry, the innocent citizens who do not know the process, that the Electoral Commission can make somebody a president. I'd like to state on this occasion and quote from Dr. Hassan Ayerga that the EC can never, never, never make anybody a president. What the EC does is to declare who the voters and so it is the guy that makes the president. We only declare the voters' choice, and that is what will happen come December 2024. It is who the voter wants to be president of this land who will be declared by the EC. On that note, we would like to thank all of you for your contributions. I think that we've had a very good deliberation. As we indicated, we'll provide the certified register to the parties in the first week of November or earlier. And please do not quote me. Do not misquote me.
GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the Organ Donation Legislation 2007. I was Ghana Police Service.
The sad reality is that today our democracy as a country is threatened.
Words of affirmation or love language comes to urge us on.
When this bill is passed, more lives will be saved, and the financial
Our country is under attack. Ghana is under a plague of unprecedented spate of illegal, illicit, uncontrolled, and unregulated mining activities. So, Speaker, I say this because Ghana is under the precipice of a self-inflicted environmental genocide and destruction. Our beautiful country, once called the Gold Coast, to underscore the rich mineral deposit God has bestowed on us, is fast becoming a pale shadow of itself. So, Speaker, our lands, with all
Sex is a beautiful thing.
I know, right?
Sex lowers your blood pressure.
Sex lowers your blood pressure.
Yes, it does.
What makes it healthy?
For every round of sex, you burn 250 calories. Sex is the best stress reducer ever, but for the male and the female gender, yes.
Right there.
We begin 2024 with our first episode of Moons and Cuddles, and today we're discussing the health benefits of sex. I believe it's a subject you'll be interested in because, as usual, should I say, apart from children, I believe everyone else is having sex, and we want to look at the health benefits. And today I have with me the
GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the Organ Donation Legislation 2007. I was Ghana Police Service.
The sad reality is that today our democracy as a country is threatened.
Words of affirmation or love language comes to urge us on.
when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved, and the financial
this House must rise to the occasion and bring the necessary action to bear on the President, the Vice President, and the government to act. Right, Honorable Speaker, as we go into another elections, Mr. Speaker, government must guard against the temptation of spending, and it does not have to be only this election. Right, Honorable Speaker, such reckless fiscal indiscipline is what has landed our dear country into debt hole and brought untold hardships to the people of Ghana. I am reliably informed, Mr. Speaker, that this President Akufo-Addo and the MPP government intends to dole out 3,000 Ghana cedis per person and other assorted election-driven handout to about 800,000 so-called farmers in the name of drought reliefs. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that this government has not learned any useful lessons from the misuse of the COVID-19 funds and the borrowed funds on reckless consumption-driven expenditure. This NPP government must be reminded that Ghana's economy, which they have badly mismanaged, is still not out of the woods yet. Mr. Speaker, hence, strict fiscal discipline, fiscal responsibility rules must be upheld, even during an election year. Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to be given this opportunity to welcome my colleagues from the recess. Mr. Speaker, I equally welcome you for being here hearty and healthy to preside over the assembly of this parliament. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that during the period of recess, a number of committees worked assiduously on referrals, and I commend honorable members for taking time off their tight schedules to attend to committee work. The Public Account Committee, led by its able and industrious chair, Honorable James Kluje Aveji, has been relentless in fulfilling its mandate in perusing public accounts of state agencies. The Appointment Committee also met to vet the President's nominees to the Supreme Court during the recess period. I know other committees also met to consider referrals that were made to them by Mr. Speaker, and I therefore take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank all members for their selfless service to the nation. Mr. Speaker, the country is gearing up for another general elections come December 7, 2024. And I'm not oblivious of the huge responsibilities that this has placed on us as we seek another mandate from our people. The enormous strain on our resources, time, and the sacrifices some of us have to make during this period are not for faint-hearted. This penultimate meeting of the House has seen most of us having to suspend most of our planned programs and activities in our various constituencies in the heat of the campaign to be here to conduct important national business. I therefore take this opportunity to extend my sincere appreciation to colleagues for showing up at this critical moment. Mr. Speaker, although the number of sittings scheduled for this meeting may be limited, there are also equally important government business that need attention. Permit me to mention the following: the Environmental Protection Agency Bill, the Social Protection Bill, the Customs Amendment Bill, the Budget Bill, the Ghana Boundary Commission Bill, the Interstate Succession Bill, and the all-important Free SHS Bill. Mr. Speaker, these and other similar important bills before the House need to be considered before the House proceeds on recess. Again, government flagship policy 1D1F, I'm aware that the Committee on Finance is done with its work, and they have done extensive work, and soon this will be tabled before us to consider. I urge members to have a critical look at it for us to approve them. There are a number of questions that are before the House, and I therefore call on sector ministers to avail themselves to respond to these questions. Due to the limited time within which this business may be conducted, I would humbly urge all sector ministers again to kindly schedule their programs effectively so that they can make time to appear before this House to respond to questions filed by honorable members. Mr. Speaker, as we approach the general elections on December 7th, I would like to appeal to my colleagues to be circumspect and measured in their public utterances, which I suggest strongly that we should not allow it to permeate through this period. As we celebrate 30 years of uninterrupted parliamentary democracy, it is high time we eschewed these unhealthy political habits and make issue and fact-based messages the focal point of our political campaigns. In view of this, I beseech all political actors and players in the country, both within and outside this House, to be guided in the statement they put out in the country. This is the only country we have, and it is imperative that we protect the democracy that we are currently enjoying for present generation and posterity. Mr. Speaker, we must learn to have faith and repose trust in state agencies and entities, especially so when their functions are critical to the peace and stability of the country. It is important that during this period, we trust these institutions to carry out their constitutional mandate. Mr. Speaker, through your enviable leadership, we, the members of this august House, have had the opportunity to engage the Electoral Commission on numerous occasions. It is my expectation that we will continue to use this opportunity granted us through your leadership to judge with the EC on salient issues bordering on the conduct of the forthcoming general elections. Mr. Speaker, one issue that caught the attention of the nation during the recess was the issue of illegal artisanal mining, popularly known as calls for the need to revisit the issue of artisanal mining in recent times. Mr. Speaker, as recent as 2015, Honorable Seth Tekpe, the then Finance Minister, appeared before the Finance Committee of Parliament during President John Dramani Mahamad's administration and cautioned the nation that Galamsey was destroying our cocoa economy. In fact, he put out how Galamsey was destroying all our cocoa farms and farmers were cutting down cocoa trees because of Galamsey activities. Mr. Speaker, we cannot, as a political class, blame game on Galamsey and say that a particular political party, in this case, the Akufo-Addo administration, has failed in its fight against Galamsey and leave out what happened preceding the administration of Akufo-Addo administration. Indeed, it's a known fact that Akufo-Addo administration took a decision to deploy the Ghana Armed Forces through what is known as Operation Halt in the early years of his presidency, and the aim was to combat the threat of illegal mining, which was wreaking deliberate havoc on the nation's water bodies and forest reserves. And Mr. Speaker, it was because at the time he took office, the Galamsey activity had gotten out of hand and the then administration had no immediate answer to it. While the operation achieved some successes, various challenges arose that undermined the effort to fully eradicate the menace. Mr. Speaker, as a parliament, it is important for us to acknowledge the President for taking a bold decision to fight the menace of Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, the President, in a statement released, has reinforced the operational and tactical capacity of the Operation Halt by directing the Minister of Defense to deploy additional military personnel to intensify the ongoing Operation Halt across the country. For the first time in this fight, logistics such as naval boats are to be deployed on water bodies to stop all legal and illegal mining activities on water bodies across the country. Furthermore, the President has directed for the suspension of the Environmental Protection Regulation 2023, LI 2462, by the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, alongside the Environmental Protection Agency. This is a very bold decision by the President. Mr. Speaker, the fight against Galamsey is a collective fight for the survival and sustainability of our livelihood as a nation. This is because water is essential in our daily survival, and we must take measures to protect all the water bodies in the country from any form of pollution. We as political leaders and actors must commit to this fight in all sincerity and not to play lip service to it. Mr. Speaker, we must be committed and we should be united in this fight. Mr. Speaker, permit me to also point out the commendable steps taken by the government in addressing the drought situation in the north. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Agric, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Agric, together with the Finance Minister, presented a paper to the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, in the briefing, they made known to us the measures they intend to take to support our farmers in the north. Mr. Speaker, members who are in the south may not know the situation of farmers in the northern part of the country. Many farmers have lost Mr. Speaker, many farmers in the north have lost their farm produce, they have lost their farmlands as a result of the situation they found themselves. Government intends to support them, and government is going to support these farmers to sustain their livelihood. Government intends to support the women in the north who suffered as a result of the challenges they faced. And this support will be given to these farmers who are Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, I would call on colleague members to engage government as these disbursements are being made, so that the people would benefit from it, so that our people will not continue to suffer and die. Mr. Speaker, as I've already mentioned, this is a short meeting with a tall agenda, and with elections around the corner, I would admonish honorable colleagues to take attendance seriously to ensure effectiveness on the House floor. I urge all chairpersons of committees to liaise with their ranking members to ensure referrals are attended to within stipulated time. Mr. Speaker, I shall conclude by commending the parliamentary service staff, especially those our clerks at table, for all the support they've been giving to us to enable us function effectively. Not the least is the parliamentary press corps. They are always ready to disseminate information that originates from this House floor. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall thank you for indulging me.
Honorable members, before we proceed, let me acknowledge the presence of some visitors, particularly students. Even though today is the first day of our meeting, we have visitors at our public gallery. The first group is made up of 30 students from the Church of Pentecost Men's Ministry. They are being led by Elder Eric Ochre Donko. And as you all know, this ministry is located in the constituency known as Krowo municipality. That is where they come from. And so, with your kind permission, I acknowledge and warmly welcome them to the business of the day. We also have 56 students coming from the Nuvasta Academy, being led by the head teacher of the academy in the person of Mr. Asedu Daniel Gad. They are located in the Gomwa East constituency. I humbly, warmly welcome you all. 56 is quite a large number, and I want to congratulate the head teacher for leading this huge number of students to witness firsthand the proceedings of Parliament. You are most welcome. Honorable members, we now move to correction of votes and proceedings and the official report. We'll start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 4th September 2024. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Sorry, page 7.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Respectfully, I was marked absent. But Right Honorable Speaker, on that very day, I was visibly present in the House. So if the table office can duly correct that for me.
Could we get your number and name?
Item number 9, Asifua Vincent Eko, Otafo.
That is item 3, number 9 at page 7 of the order paper. Votes and proceedings, sorry.
Respectfully so.
Yes. The honorable member for Old Tafo, please, table office, kindly take note. Page 8. Honorable members, with a number of you on your feet, it's very difficult for me to locate whether you are standing to be recognized or you are just having a chat. Please resume your seats. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Sorry, page 12. Yes, Honorable Dafiamapo.
Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I recall that the resolution taken by the House after the debates arose and a question was put in respect of the Songo Lagoon matter. The item number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I must say, you directed the Committee on Lands and Natural Resources to continue to engage the parties in mediation and reports. The report aspect, Mr. Speaker, is missing because it was clear that we were to engage in mediation and get back to the House regarding the status and the outcome of those mediating meetings that would have held with the people. I think that it's important that it reflects in the resolution. Thank you very much.
Yes, table office kindly take note of that. All the committees I mentioned are to continue to engage and to keep on reporting to the House so that we know the progress of the mediation. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, page 13, the first paragraph at page 13, the rendition here does not fully capture what transpired that day. What we have here is that the Committee on Chieftaincy, Culture and Religious Affairs and the Committee on Defense and Interior should continue to engage the parties in order to preserve and maintain places of cultural and religious significance and conservation sites. But, Mr. Speaker, that day, honorable members spoke to a number of human rights violations, people who had been attacked, journalists and all of that, media houses that had come under attack. And so the work of the Committee on Defense and Interior was to look at that aspect as well and report to the House. But this rendition is only concerned with the cultural and religious sites in terms of preserving their significance. But it leaves out the grave human rights concerns, the attacks on the people of Adan as came up during the proceedings. And that is why you asked the Defense and Interior Committee to also play a role in terms of the list of committees that you gave responsibilities to. So, Mr. Speaker, this rendition will have to be re-looked at so that it can capture the full essence of what transpired that day. I'm grateful.
Honorable Member, I think you are right. We need to capture that table office and also focus on the maintenance of peace and security in the area. It's very, very paramount. Page, yes, Honorable Member.
Right Honorable Speaker, page 13.
Yes.
Item number 12, the last paragraph. The Honorable Second Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, thanked honorable members for the positive response. Response RES, S. Messen. RES, S. Messen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Table office, kindly take note. Honorable members, with this, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the second extraordinary sitting dated Wednesday, 4th September 2024 are adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honorable members, official report. I have two official reports. The first one dated 28th June 2024. Please. Yes, please.
I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, column 118, the second paragraph at column 118. This is on the tribute that was very well delivered by the respected Honorable Benson Togo Baba in memory of the Honorable John Akogo Tia. The paragraph says that, Mr. Speaker, in 2009, the late President, Professor John Evans Atta Mills, appointed him as Minister for Information. In 2012, he contested again to represent his constituents, but unfortunately, he lost in that election to the paramount chief of Talensi traditional area, Tongo Ran Mosori Kobila Song. Right Honourable Speaker, at the time of the contest, he was not the paramount chief. since our constitution does not allow chiefs to engage in active politics and to contest in elections, we cannot allow this rendition to stand in our records. So we can amend this to say that he lost to the Honorable Robert Nachinam Doamang Mosori, who later became the paramount chief of the Talensi traditional area. That will be a more accurate and constitutionally acceptable rendition, as Dr. Ayeni will say. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, table office, take note of that. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the official report of
I didn't.
the official report of Friday, the 8th June 2024 is table office, take note of that. Standard is with an S, standards. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the official report of Tuesday, 2nd July 2024 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honorable members, we now move on to a business statement for the first week, and this will be presented to the House by the chairman of the Business Committee, in the person of the Majority Leader. Please, Majority Leader, you may do so now.
Mr. Speaker, this is the 5th meeting of the 4th session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, we have before you the explanatory memorandum on the business statement for the first week ending Friday, the 18th of October, 2024. Mr. Speaker, it's a 4-page report. Same has been printed and circulated to all members. I shall rely on same and move that the House adopts this report to enable us rely on same as a guide for our week's deliberation. Thank you so much, sir.
Honorable members, the report has been presented. Yes, any comments? Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Hello. All right, thank you. Mr. Speaker, let me thank you very much for the opportunity. The business statements have been presented. But Mr. Speaker, in respect of illegal mining called Galamsey and the harm it has done to our natural environment, our water bodies and livelihoods, it is not about who is successful or who is not successful. Every Ghanaian knows that we are failing. Mr. Speaker, it will be my request that you take up this matter much more seriously and invite the 3 ministers of state, the Minister for Lands, Natural Resources, the Minister for National Security, the Minister for Interior, and all other institutions involved, and the Minister for Environment, Mr. Speaker, to publicly account to Ghanaians, through you, how much have so far been spent in the name of fighting illegal mining and Galamsey, and how much destruction in terms of official report to our water bodies. And Mr. Speaker, you can give consequential direction. The people of Ghana expect that of us as Parliament, that we hold persons in whom we have entrusted the supervision of our natural resources accountable. And Mr. Speaker, the Constitution vests our natural resources in the hands of the President. So, Mr. Speaker, that will be my first take. My second, Mr. Speaker, is taking it from your own words. The conduct of free, fair, credible election, we should all be mindful of what we do and what we say. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Special Budget will have to, as a matter of urgency, engage with the Electoral Commission of Ghana and probably invite the chairperson and other officials of the Electoral Commission, including the Minister for Interior and the Inspector General of Police, to share with us their roadmap to the conduct of free, fair, credible elections. Mr. Speaker, in respect of the Electoral Commission, I have some information. As I raised the last time, 75,000 devices. You are buying batteries only 3,500. 75,000 devices. The Electoral Commission, even after expanding electoral polling stations, is only procuring an additional 8 to 10,000 BVDs. And then, Mr. Speaker, backup. What is here? Give me what you have, that white thing there. The Electoral Commission is also to increase the number of power banks. How many have they acquired? How functional will the biometric devices be on 7th December so that we don't have to rely on manual voting? Because, Mr. Speaker, that will engender fraud and may occasion electoral fraud if persons are asked to use a manual system instead of the electronic devices. Finally, Mr. Speaker, taking it from the minority leader and majority leader, we are hearing that some 3,000 Ghana cedis, or a number of farmers, 800,000 farmers, are rising out of a drought situation in the north. Mr. Speaker, my question to the leaders and to your good self is that how many members of Parliament from the north in the affected areas have been so engaged in the determination of who benefit what? And we demand that no such decision or approval should be taken without the involvement of the members of Parliament from the north, from the affected communities, making input into determining who gets what from the Ministry of Agric and Ministry of Agriculture, including the regional and district agric offices and members of Parliament. Other than that, Mr. Speaker, it may as well be somebody wanting 800,000 votes through the back door and giving monies to farmers in the name of farming in order to lure and endure those people. So, Mr. Speaker, may I request through you that the Honorable Minister for Agriculture and Finance
work through members of parliament, then we know they mean well for farmers in the north, because to every constituency there is a farmer who determines who benefits from this government package. But when they finally come to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, we'll make a determination. So, Mr. Speaker, may I request that the Electoral Commission be invited to your Committee on Special Budget to tell us their preparations for the election, the state of the register. We are aware that in the past, ballot papers were printed on the basis of final voter register, not provisional voter register. But they must respond to the issue of biometric devices, acquisition of batteries, power banks, and related issues. And then they must also justify to us what are the financial inadequacies so far that the Ministry of Finance have not met their request or requirement. Then we can make a case for them strongly. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, before we proceed, I want to know what is happening to the right side of the House. I see a large number of members of Parliament at the back having a conversation. Please, honorable members, may we have your attention? You are allowed to move out of the presence and have your discussion, but not standing on the floor in that large number as if nothing is happening. Please, comments. Yes, Honorable Muntaka Mubarak.
Come here. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, going through the business statement, item 5 is indicative as decision day. And Mr. Speaker, I wanted to take this opportunity to plead with the leadership to consider the days of sitting, having in mind the exigencies of the time. If it was for me to suggest, is to suggest that we sit Tuesday and end on Thursdays. So at least Fridays and Mondays can be out because of travel time, Mr. Speaker. So Speaker, the flag bearers are crisscrossing the country, and many MPs are expected to be in their constituencies to welcome them. And for practical reasons, you can see today, even the first day, how empty the chamber is. If we can all agree to concentrate on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then we know that we have all the businesses. Then Friday we start traveling back, and you know that you can start traveling back to Accra on Monday. Mr. Speaker, that way, I'm suggesting that may be a very practical way of dealing with the challenges that we have. And if that is considered by the leadership, I want to suggest that the decision day should be Thursday instead of Wednesday. Because, Mr. Speaker, as you may know, Wednesdays are the starting days, and usually you wouldn't have had enough to take a decision on Wednesday. But if you push the decision day to Thursday, you will have worked for Tuesday and Wednesday, and there may be enough for decision to be taken. I thought that I needed to make this suggestion known and see if leadership may consider that, so that to make the workings around this time much easier and more practical for all of us. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable, who is the senior now? Then you are the senior. Age matters. Honorable member, you seem to be senior. Yes, please. not one of age from birth, but in the house.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the submission of the leader of the House about the fertilizer is the issue that we need to probe. Because if you go to various constituencies, the affected constituencies, Mr. Speaker, they've given the fertilizers to their pieces that they are sharing. The MPP are sharing, and they want to trap we the MPs that they've given us fertilizers. Mr. Speaker, they went to radio and everywhere that they've given MPs fertilizers to share. And Mr. Speaker, I went to the radio and told them I'm not the agric director to share fertilizer because MPs don't share fertilizers. We have the agric directors who are in charge of the fertilizer. So, Mr. Speaker, this fertilizer issue needs to be investigated, needs to be probed. Because we need to engage the MPs, because we know we've given the mandate to finance minister to give agric minister money to purchase fertilizer to help the affected areas. So they should come clear so that we probe the matter to know the fact of the matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, now, Honourable Member for Bole Bamboy.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Majority Leader for the business statement. Mr. Speaker, I have a few issues that I want to draw his attention to. The first one has to do with the importation of rice and grains by the Ministry of Agric. There is a letter that I have in my hand here where the Minister of Agri had written to Ministry of Finance asking for some tax exemptions so that they import grains, rice, and what have you in order to mitigate what they refer to as crisis with respect to the drought in the northern part of this country. Mr. Speaker, there is a need for us to bring the Minister of Agri to this House to come and tell us how he got the tax exemptions without parliamentary approval. He shouldn't be allowed to undermine this House. It is only this House that can give tax exemptions. And so we need him here to come and tell us whether indeed he's gone ahead to secure tax exemptions without any approval from this great House. Mr. Speaker, it is also important for us to know how he was able to select those rice importers. What process did he go through? Did he go through any procurement or any transparent process to select those rice importers? We need to know, because some rice importers have even petitioned the minister, and I have a copy of the letter here. Mr. Speaker, sometimes there's no crisis. Our colleagues on the other side will create crisis in order to make some benefit out of it. When we talk about drought, when there's a drought, let's say this year, the impact is normally felt in the subsequent year. There's a drought for 2 months, and we started talking about crisis. I think that it is going to be a self-created crisis in order for people to make money out of it. And this must be stopped. Mr. Speaker, my second issue has to do with the withdrawal of the military from GBC. There is a need for the defense minister to come to this House and give us reasons why why he withdrew the military officers from GBC. This is something that we have all grown to see. I have seen them since I became active in politics, and so I don't know why all of a sudden, especially in an election year like this, that the defense minister is withdrawing the military from that outfit. I think that we need him here to come and tell us why he's doing that. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the minority leader, the majority leader, both talked about the issue of Galamsey. This very House, unfortunately, passed a law, Act 2462, to allow people to do, whether it's legal or illegal, small-scale mining in our forest. I think it's unfortunate, and I want to appeal to this great House that we repeal this act. We must find a way of repealing that act. And so I want to appeal to the majority leader. Majority leader, if you are listening to me, majority leader, if you are listening to me, I passionate appeal to you that this House must find a way of repealing Act 2462 in the interest of this country. If indeed we are allied, if we are committed in fighting Galamsey and illegal mining, and if we are committed in ensuring that our environment is protected, then this law must be repealed and repealed immediately. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank you and to hope that very soon I'll be sitting at the right side of you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Yes, Suhini. Honorable Suhini.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the business statement that has been made ably by the soon-to-be minority leader. I mean, the majority leader, forgive me. Mr. Speaker, I wish to reiterate the call made by Honorable Haruna Idrisu on the majority leader, who is also the leader of government business, to see to it that as soon as possible, especially this week, the House should find time to invite the ministers responsible for environment, the minister responsible for lands and natural resources, and the national security minister, and if possible, the minister responsible for defense, to brief the House, as the Honorable Haruna Idrisu has stated, on how much has been expended so far on this fight against Galamsey that is never ending, and what our successes have been so far, and the lessons that we have learned that can impact whatever fight we intend to wage now and in the future. Mr. Speaker, whilst at that, I also wish to indicate that it is important that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is also called upon to submit before this House all the mining licenses that we are told have been issued in the last 2 to 3 years. Mr. Speaker, it is alarming to note that in the last 4 years, over 2,000 mining licenses, we are told, have been issued. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at the 1992 Constitution, Article 2681 and 2 clearly states, and with your permission, I quote, "Any transaction, contract, or undertaking involving the grant of a right or concession by or on behalf of any person, including the government of Ghana, to any other person or body of persons, howsoever described." For the that's why I'm stating however so described. For the exploitation of any mineral, water, or other natural resources of Ghana made or entered into after the coming into force of this Constitution shall be subject to ratification by Parliament. The Speaker 2 says that Parliament may, by resolution supported by the votes of not less than 2/3 of all members of Parliament, exempt from the provision of clause 1 of this article any particular class of transactions, contract, or undertakings. Mr. Speaker, I am unaware of this House granting any exemptions. And that is why it is important that, especially given the alarming nature of the licenses that have been issued within this period, we demand that those licenses be brought before this House for thorough examination and possible rejection or ratification. Mr. Speaker, our constituents are demanding of us. They want to know what our role is as far as this fight is concerned. And I think the first step this House has to undertake, or the first step we have to take, is to ensure that we look into the way and manner these licenses have been issued and play our role as expected of us under Article 2681 and 2. So, Mr. Speaker, I reiterate the call for the ministers responsible for this fight to brief us on the issue of accountability and how much has been expended so far and what the gains are and the lessons that have been learned. And I also demand that the licenses that have been issued for the exploitation of these minerals be brought to this House for ratification. And I hope that it will be contained by the majority leader and space will be found for all of this to be done this week. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable Dafiamakpo.
Speaker, thank you once more for the opportunity to comment on the business statement. Speaker, in doing so, let me quickly make my first point, which is to the effect that the majority leader mentioned that government is preparing a package for some 800,000 distressed farmers who suffered some drought. Mr. Speaker, it's a House of Records. Mr. Speaker, sometime on 26th of August this year, the ministries of Agric, the Finance Ministry, as well as the Ministry of Defense got together and held a press conference and announced that the number of farmers were 900,000. And again, they declared a policy of cessation of grain exportation across our borders and deployed the military to the borders to enforce this policy. So the numbers between 800,000 and 900,000 is very significant. And we need to agree on these numbers. Mr. Speaker, again, as a House, we want to know how the data of the 800,000 or the 900,000 were gathered and which entity determined the names of these farmers and from where. Mr. Speaker, regarding the matter of the distribution of fertilizers, Speaker, as I speak to you, the consignment that is supposedly sent to Southern in my name is sitting in the residence of the DCE, who is also the MPP parliamentary candidate. Yes. And he says that I should come and beg him. I should come to his house and come and beg him, kneel down before he will give the fertilizers. So, Mr. Speaker, these matters are very serious matters. You give MP 400 fertilizers to distribute in Ketu South. How is she supposed to do that? You allocate 400 fertilizers to an MP in Southern to give to some fertilizers, to some farmers. Who am I supposed to give to and who am I supposed to leave out? So as MPs, we are not supposed to be fertilizer distributors. And the fertilizers that are supposed to be given to the MPs are supposedly given to the DCEs, who in a lot of their constituencies are doubling as our opponents in the political contest that is raging on. So this matter ought to be interrogated and the proper things done, because there will be an accountability tomorrow. If a fertilizer is supposed to come to Southern and it doesn't go to the right people, the entities that are responsible will have to account for it. Mr. Speaker, my last point. The Electoral Commission, as we speak, is supposedly exhibiting the provisional register. And Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Regulation 23(1) of CI 126, the exhibition of the voters' register has a formula provided. The register has to be exhibited at the registration center where it was conducted. If you ask that my grandmother in the village should go online and check her name, how is she supposed to do that? In any case, as part of the exhibition processes, if I want to challenge somebody's name on the register, there are processes provided under the law. So the only online exhibition being conducted by the Electoral Commission, indeed within a limited period between today and sometime on Thursday, is irregular, mostly irregular. So the Electoral Commission must learn to conduct its own functions of office in accordance with the law that sets it up. Mr. Speaker, with these words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Majority Leader, you may respond to the comments.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I listened to my colleagues and all the views they've expressed. Specifically, Honorable Harun Idrisu called on us to ensure that the MPs are part of the distribution of the fertilizers and all the support. That the support, wait, Mr. Speaker, the support that government is giving to the farmers affected include cash and fertilizers. He is saying that the MPs should be involved in such support. So that is his call. So he's not against the support. All he's saying is that the MPs should be involved. Mr. Speaker, the MPs have been involved. The minister made a public announcement. And in that announcement, he called on stakeholders to work closely with him. Honorable Defia Mako is saying that it is not the duty of an MP to distribute fertilizers. So I think that we need to reconcile his point and that of Honorable Harun Idrisu's point. But Mr. Speaker, the most important thing is that people have been affected by this drought situation. And they are getting support from government. They are getting support from government. I didn't come out with the 800,000 figure. The 800,000 came from the minority leader. But Mr. Speaker, what is wrong if our farmers are getting 3,000? Farmers have lost their livelihood. Mr. Speaker, the farmers in the north have lost their livelihood. Especially the women. They've lost their millet. They've lost their maize, Mr. Speaker. And government is giving them cash to enable them feed. Should we watch them to die? Mr. Speaker, no. This government believes in social intervention and is supporting them. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we should continue to support government to undertake this exercise. However, I agree to the suggestion that there should be greater transparency. That one, I agree. Because in the process, the data regarding those who benefit must be known to all. So I agree to that one. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Harun Idrisu is very particular about the activities of the EC, that those items to be procured are supposed to be done on time so that we don't have problems at all. But Mr. Speaker, it is on record that the only time that the Electoral Commission could not ensure a single day voting in this country was in 2012. Was in 2012. That we voted in 2 days, 2012. But after 2012, we have not had any such problem. So I would want to take solace in the fact that 2016, 2020, the Electoral Commission did commendably well. And we should encourage them to do better
as compared to what they did in 2012, where we couldn't do it the same day. So, Mr. Speaker, his call comes at the right time, and I support that call. On the issues of procurement, I believe that when they appear before us, they will be able to tell us the challenges that they are facing. Mr. Speaker, it's on record that anytime we invited the EC chair, she appeared before us. So let's encourage her to come again to address our concerns. Mr. Speaker, I believe that these are about all the points that were raised. I avail myself for further responses as the questions come. Thank you.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, at the Business Committee meeting, a minority leader raised two very important, actually he made two important proposals. One was a proposal for a decision day, possibly on Wednesday, and I think that the Honourable Monteka has suggested a Thursday. He also made a proposal for us to sit on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and made a strong proposal that it will help this House in accomplishing what we have set out to do, especially in this time of our election where members are to focus not only on the election but the important parliamentary duties. So we'll be really focusing on that. The majority leader did not necessarily oppose it. In fact, was amenable to that. But that did not find expression in the business statement. And so I think it's important that members know that these issues were raised. The majority leader supported it. And I think it's important for him to state publicly on this view so that we can go from there. We think that it is a win-win proposal that allows us to focus the important parliamentary business while at the same time having enough time to deal with the critical election that is left with less than 2 months. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Neil Ante van der Poel.
Right, Honourable Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader has just made things a bit confusing for me. You're talking about a policy decision that you have taken to assist farmers presumably affected by drought. You have a figure and you have a budget, meaning you've done your own assessment and know the people who have been affected and where those people are located. Our colleagues here, especially the Honourable Member of Parliament for, is it Sene? Sene, has made a critical case of a possible parliamentary bipartisan committee to investigate this so-called handout to affected farmers. I was expecting the leader to look at that issue and that call, because all of us here are asking that if you are being able to determine that 3,000 cedis per person is enough to take care of those affected, then you would have done the necessary research and calculated everything. And so there's nothing wrong telling us here in Parliament, since you are our leader, that these are the people who are affected in these parts of the country, and not just stand here and tell us in the north. Where in the north? Today, we have northern region, northeast, savannah, and you can't just come and stand and say north. Where in the north? Which part of the north? And what was the criteria used in doing the assessment and coming to the conclusion that they will need 3,000 cedis per person? These are things that we must know. Because if people ask us outside, as members of Parliament representing them, we should be able to explain to them convincingly how this is going to be done. So, Mr. Speaker, I think immediately the call by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Senate must be looked at so that we don't have enough time. So we look at this situation critically. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I get very worried when I hear comments like, let's come together, when the issue of Galamsey and the effects on the environment is raised. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is let's take politics out. Mr. Speaker, I believe that whatever we do here is politics. We have elected a political party to govern us. The same political party has appointed political activists to head various institutions. Mr. Speaker, and therefore we cannot take politics out of it. Mr. Speaker, what is lacking is the fact that people do not want to take responsibility. Leadership has failed. And therefore, leadership must take responsibility for what is going on. We don't need to unite. I don't see where the unity comes in. It is about seeing empirical evidence that people are cutting down cocoa trees. And therefore, we don't need to unite to get the soldiers, the police, to arrest those who are doing that. Mr. Speaker, we have leadership. And because leadership has failed, that is where we have gotten to where we are. So, Mr. Speaker, the issue about we coming together has no place in this. We have laws that govern exploitation of minerals in this country. The laws are not being adhered to. Who is responsible? Let us hold them responsible and stop being hypocritical about this. When it shoots, we say yes, we unite. Today we have, an appointee has taken a decision to share 3,000 to farmers. Did we unite? How did we get there? A decision has been taken. The responsibility must be taken by leadership. When leadership fails, let us accept responsibility. That is the way to go. I see this all as just a gimmick. People are just involved, and they cannot look in the faces of their colleagues who are involved to stop them, and that's what is happening. On that note, Mr. Speaker, that issue about let us come together, I don't see how it is going to solve the problem. Let us take responsibility as leaders. Otherwise, let us get away from whichever office that we are occupying now and get people who are responsible and competent to take charge of these institutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No.
Minority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. When my colleague was making the point for the call for our colleague, the Minister of Agri, to come clearer, one of the main points he made was to apprise the House on the methods used to procure the items, i.e., how were the suppliers selected? What is how much we are spending on this? How did they determine the amount of money to be given to each farmer? Is there data? It's a tax waiver, yes. Also on how the importers got tax waivers for importing the rice and other things. And Mr. Speaker, they talk about drought in the north, and we colleagues from the north are saying that which part of the north are you talking about? And how were you able to determine how much loss they are going to incur in terms of the grains and other things? So the Minister of Agri cannot just because the speed at which the comment came and then the procurement, it's as if the procurement for the grains was almost effected before they talk about how many people are affected. Mr. Speaker, those are the things that our colleagues talked about when they were talking about this. So maybe let the leader take note of this and make the Minister of Agri. And then, Mr. Speaker, lastly, what Honorable Member for Senate spoke about. Mr. Speaker, it is widespread information that the Minister of Agri gave fertilizers to members of Parliament to distribute. Mr. Speaker, as a matter of fact, the letter the Minister wrote to me, copied the Agri Minister, said the MPs should assist the DCE in selection of 100 farmers Yes, that's the letter I read, Mr. Speaker. And I said, we have 32,000 farmers in Adaklu. I have no method of selecting 100 out of them. So, Mr. Speaker, when they finished the distribution, an electoral area in Adaklu got 22 bags of fertilizer. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you, do you know what they are doing? They open the fertilizer bags like rice and put a cap on it and are distributing. Because the whole electoral area of 5 towns have got 22 bags of fertilizer. So do you really mean to help farmers, or is just cosmetic, or you just want to muddy the waters? Because 22 bags of fertilizer cannot be shared to over 4,000 people. How are you expecting them to share that? So, Mr. Speaker, the minister, our colleague, is here. Let him explain his intention of writing that letter and how effective that exercise is supposed to be.
Yes, Honorable Helen Ntoso.
We've had this been up.
Sorry, who has been up?
Mr. Speaker, with respect, Honorable Brian Achampon.
Oh, I'll get.
Mr. Speaker, because of the.
Yes, you are right. You are right. I've taken notice of it now. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the Minister for Agric, when we talk about drought in this country, it means that he's talking about the northern part of the country. Drought is a disaster. May I know from the minister, because when it comes to disasters, I know that it is NADMO that is responsible, is the lead agency to be in charge of drought, which is a national disaster. Did the Ministry of Agric work with the National Disaster Management Organization? Because when it comes to disaster and giving out monies or relief, they've got to have the data, households. You cannot just say you were giving an individual 3,000 Ghana cedis. You've got to look at the household, because some of the households is 3 people in the household, 5 people. For international standard is 5. So how did they come about with the data that they are going to use to distribute this money? And if you're talking about drought, the vegetation in the northern region is not different from the vegetation in OT region. So if they are saying that there was drought in the northern region, are they saying that they didn't see anything like that happen in the OT region? So I think that the data that they have, Mr. Speaker, it is not a true data that the Ministry of Agriculture or the Ministry of Agric is having. They have to consult the MPs in the various constituencies to work with them and to work with NADMO so that they can have the credible data for this distribution of monies that they want to undertake. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
May we hear from the minister, since he's around, the Minister for Food and Agric, then we can continue with the comments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I do acknowledge that this is a business statement, and so I will be very brief, just to clear some misconceptions and confusion. Starting with my respected honorable, we have not declared a national disaster or a drought. What we mentioned was that it is a dry spell. A dry spell. And a dry spell is totally different from a drought condition, which would have necessitated the declaration of a national disaster. A dry spell, a near drought condition, is not a drought. It's not a declaration of a state of emergency. Please, it is very, very important. We have not declared a drought. We said a dry spell. A dry spell. You can play back my statement. You can play back all my press conferences. It was a dry spell. Number 2, we have not said anywhere that we are giving 3,000 cedis to any farmer. We have not said anywhere. In my press conferences from the beginning, I mentioned that we're going to give 1,000 Ghana cedis per farmer. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, we have delivered fertilizers under different programs. The first one was the grant fertilizers, which we gave to every farmer that is registered on the Ghana Agriculture and Agribusiness platform. We gave them grant fertilizers. We also gave members of parliament fertilizers to be given to vulnerable, the very vulnerable farmers that you will identify. So if you have a copy of the letter, that I gave to you, and every member of parliament has a copy of that letter, if you read the letter, it is clear that this, if you can identify very vulnerable farmers in your constituency, we are allocating these fertilizers to you to give to these very vulnerable farmers, up to 100 of them. That was stated in the letter. And we requested that if you identify these vulnerable farmers, make sure that they are registered on the GAB, give them the fertilizers, and then give us a list of those farmers. So we did not ask you to open the bag of fertilizers and distribute them as though you are giving a cup of fertilizer to farmers. That is not what the instruction is. You have a copy of the letter. You can apprise Ghanaians what the instructions were. If you read the instructions that were given, I'm sure that the right thing shall be done. Mr. Speaker, the grant fertilizers, the fertilizers to the vulnerable farmers, is totally different from the fertilizers that we are delivering to the dry spell farmers. That we just started moving those fertilizers into the regions. And we have asked all stakeholders, including members of parliament, to ensure for accountability and transparency that those farmers are registered on the Ghana Agriculture and Agribusiness platform, because that is the only way a farmer can be identified and given support. And that is why we have invited members of parliament, district chief executives, and community leaders to help register the farmers so that we can account properly to parliament, we can account to the Ghanaian people where the resources of state is going to. So it's transparent. If you so happen, and I've had several members of parliament who've had their fertilizers in a way withheld by DCs, and I've received calls. I don't want to mention names. If I'm dead, I will. That I have personally called these DCEs to release the fertilizers to my colleague members of parliament who are having challenges getting the fertilizers. In fact, I have had calls to, on one occasion, call the leader of the minority about the situation. So there's total transparency in how we are delivering government resources to the Ghanaian people. We encourage all farmers through their leadership, through their leaders, to help the farmers register so that we can give the farmers, nobody anywhere can receive inputs from the Ministry of Agriculture without being properly registered, so that we can come and account to the Ghanaian people. So it is important that we set out the confusion. I'm going to come back in any statement, in whatever form, to give proper accounts to the Ghanaian people. How we procured inputs for distribution for the dry spell. We went through the processes. Mr. Speaker, with the permission of the right question, I'll come here to the floor and answer to the Ghanaian people the level of transparency with which we are implementing this government program. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to quickly make a point after the minister responsible for agriculture just spoke. Mr. Speaker, I say this because December last year, Parliament approved a budget for the Minister for Agriculture. That budget did not anticipate 800,000 farmers, of which you will pay 1,000 Ghana cedis each too, according to your own numbers. Mr. Speaker, that budget did not anticipate expenditure of 3-point-something billion for dry spell. And for the minister to spend that kind of money without parliamentary approval, Mr. Speaker, that is the question. And the members of parliament want to find out, was this properly appropriated? Was this properly appropriated? Mr. Speaker, that is the question. And Mr. Speaker, we are aware that they are awarding contract for the purchases of rice. And we want to know how this is being distributed. Mr. Speaker, and we want to know the scientific way in which they came across the way this was done. Mr. Speaker, and that is why we are raising this question. Because expenditure of about 3 billion. Mr. Speaker, we are concerned because not long ago, this country went into crisis because of the way COVID money was spent. COVID money was spent. Are we going to hide behind the same dry spell and send this country to another crisis? Mr. Speaker, we should get involved. In an election year, we should get involved. And that is why we are saying that the minister must be invited properly. He must appear he must appear before us properly and then present to us what is called the so-called dry spell and the amount of money you are spending, because we have not approved for you to spend any money on this dry spell. We have not approved for you. So please come properly and let us actually look into the details of what you are spending. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, please don't let this be lost onto you. Just comments on the business statement.
Mr. Speaker.
That have been present. Just comments on business statement. The other issues you are raising, we have tools to handle them as we go along. Please comment on the business statement. Honorable Bernard Ahiafo has been on his feet for some time. Let me listen to him. Then
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Adjusafo has been on.
After that, I
have been on my feet for a long time too, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Going to Honorable Sarah Adjusafo. I was just going to mention your name, and you decided to interject. And you are happy laughing.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for finally acknowledging me on. I had been on my feet for a while, so when you started honorable, I thought you were going to call somebody else. That's why I interrupted. I sincerely apologize, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
I've been called Bernard Ahiafo. So sit down. Sit down. After me, Speaker will recognize you.
No, Mr. Speaker was asking why I was busily laughing, and so I just stood to actually explain why I was a bit out of order. That's why, Mr. Speaker. I sincerely apologize.
Please go on.
I have the floor.
Yes.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was on my feet because I was a bit lost on what we were doing on the floor, because I remember the majority leader rising and presenting the business statement. But the question line and the line of questioning from most members that have been on their feet is asking for further and better particulars on the issue about fertilizers, the issue about members getting involved, which I thought I was going to catch your eye early to draw your attention to the fact that we could invite the minister to come in the form of a statement, or members could file a question properly so-called within the scope and ambit of our standing orders, so that he can properly prepare and come in. Because standing orders talks about relevance. So I was flipping through the business statement, the 3-page business statement of the majority leader, and I couldn't find the basis for the questioning. But Mr. Speaker, you rightly intervened and actually cautioned members that this is the time for business statement, and our comments should be restricted to what has been presented by the majority leader. So I am not saying that the concerns being raised by members should be brushed off or are not necessary. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that let's do what our rules permit us to do, which is that if we have genuine concerns about how fertilizers are being distributed and whether we've actually authorized the minister or approved any finances for that, I think that we would be fair to the minister if we file proper questions or we ask him to present a statement. Then we can all debate the statement thoroughly, both sides. But now the way it looks is as if we're taking him out of the blues. It's like, Mr. Speaker, when you're practicing and you get to the law court and your opposing counsel just pulls out something out of the blues. We call it ambush litigation. It's as if we're catching the minister ambush. So he would be able to provide some level of answers to what we're asking, but I think that this is a house of record. Everything that we're saying here would be in the hazards for posterity to judge. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's give him time to prepare and present a proper statement or file questions where he will be given ample time to answer, Mr. Speaker. I thank you for the opportunity, but you've rightly ruled that we should stay within what is being discussed, which is the business statement for today. So, Minority Leader, you are out of order, so come properly. Thank you.
Honorable members, may we listen to Honorable Bernard Ahiafo. Again, I emphasize we are dealing with a business statement, and let's restrict our comments to that. Yes, Honorable Bernard Ahiafo.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I know we are commenting on the business statement, but there are some matters emanating from the Agri Minister which we must clear the doubt. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the information in my constituency is that I, Bernard Ahiafo, MP for Akachi South, has been given fertilizers, but I went and sold the fertilizers. Mr. Speaker, I intend taking a legal action against those who are making such statements against me. Mr. Speaker, for the minister to say that members of parliament have been given fertilizer, and I know from my side that members, including Bernard Ahiafo, was not given any fertilizer. The district chief executive never even called me about fertilizer. The Agri director never even called me about fertilizer. I have not received even one bag of fertilizer. So, Mr. Speaker, once this is a house of record, we need to clear the air that I have not received even one cup of fertilizer, let alone going to sell it. Mr. Speaker, if the minister is picking and choosing, then that is a different thing altogether. Because I know my opponent contesting me on the ticket of MPP has been distributing fertilizers, but I do not have a single bag. If that is what they are doing, then there is a need for the general public to be aware of it, and my constituents should listen to me, that I am standing on the floor of Parliament to make this declaration that I have not received a single bag of fertilizer. If the minister is here, and you can prove that I, Bernard Ahiafo, have received a single bag of fertilizer, stand up and say it for the general public to hear. I have not received a bag of fertilizer from you.
Honorable members, let me allow the majority leader to respond to some of the comments. The minister, yes, Minister for Food and Agri, you have his say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's important that we put it on record that I, Brian Echampo, Minister for Food and Agriculture, I have dispatched to Honorable Ahiafo in his name 300 bags of NPK, 100 bags of urea. That fertilizer was received at the district agri office, okay, in his name. I have given Honorable Ahiafo a letter to that effect, and all he has to do is to, if he has not, I have sent it to him in his name. It has been received in the district nationwide. I have every record. I have every record of fertilizers that has been sent to every district. And so if you have not received your fertilizer, please go to your district office. The fertilizer is there, and in the unlikely event that they tell you that it is not, come back to me. I'm your colleague, and especially I'm your friend, and I'll make sure that you get it. We were on this floor when your leader mentioned that he has received his fertilizer, but it was not in the quantities that will satisfy his whole constituency, and that he had to distribute them in cups. So it is not true that we discriminated the distribution of fertilizer across the country. I can mention every MP from your side who has received fertilizer on top of my head. Please, it has been sent to you in your name. Go to your district, collect the fertilizer, and give to the vulnerable farmers as we have dictated in the letter. And if you have any challenges, please let me know, and I'll help you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, the exchanges are now going beyond comments on the business statement. Minister, you may need to get time to come to brief the House with the details you have. Just responding now, there are some slippages. It could be off tongue, because now you just stated that you can say off the cap the fertilizer you've sent to each and every member of parliament, and you can say off the cap which member of parliament received, because you say received the fertilizer. Now his issue is that he is being said to have received them and he sold them. Now if you can tell off the cap of your head, can you tell us whether he in particular received, because you are making it on the floor of the House, and this is a very serious matter, whether he received the fertilizer.
Mr. Speaker, it was a process. First is to notify the Member of Parliament that we are going to send 300 bags of MPK, 100 bags of urea to you. We first send the letters to the Members of Parliament, both sides. I sent it to the leaders, and I know that they distributed it to their members. That was the first step. The second step is that we sent the fertilizers to the districts, and every member of parliament was to collect the fertilizer from the district and give it to 100 vulnerable farmers. And then after distribution, submit the list to the ministry. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that every district in this country, the ministry has dispatched the fertilizers to. I am also aware that in some districts, the members of parliament on both sides are having challenges with the DCEs. Mr. Speaker, you have cases where on our side, members of parliament that are not contesting are having challenges with their DCEs in collecting the fertilizers. I am also aware that, for example, the MP for Ejura on this side called me that the DCE does not want to release the fertilizer to him. I called the DCE myself, and the DCE released the fertilizer to him. So I can appreciate that there are challenges from the district to the MPs. But so far as we have distributed the fertilizers to the district in their name, I expect that if they have any challenges, to come back to me, and I will ensure, as I have done for more than 5 members of parliament on this side, I will ensure that they receive the fertilizer. Mr. Speaker, I will be surprised that my respected honorable member of parliament has received fertilizers for vulnerable farmers and are selling those fertilizers. I cannot believe that, and I can vouch for him that he will not be able to do that. But one thing I can say is that we have sent the fertilizers to his district, and if he has challenges accessing the fertilizers, he can prompt me, and I'll make sure that he gets it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, you know what is meant by direct service. Direct service. If you issue fertilizer in the name of a member of parliament, after having given notice to the member of parliament and giving the member of parliament the letter, and then direct the fertilizer to the district office, that is not direct service. They should have been directed straight to the member of parliament, and the member will receive them, and then the documents will show that they have been received by the member of parliament. But when you direct them to the district office, then you create a problem there. And that is what is happening. And you know this is your election season. Both sides, it's election season, and I know the dynamics involved. It's not only on the opposition side, even the government side, the infighting there, which is more vicious than even the opposition side. So please, I think there's some problem there, but maybe you want to clarify it, you may do so.
The country and parliament would demand accountability from me. And the processes for distributing such is through the district assembly, as is done through common fund. You have to send it to the district assembly for the assembly to receive it in their stores and then release to the member of parliament. I'll be very happy if government, the rules of government allows me to take fertilizer from the ministry and just directly send it to my colleagues.
It's not me saying you should do it, but your statement
that is the process
has created the impression that the fertilizers are to be given directly to the members of parliament. But as you said, governance is about using government officials and government agencies. And so you have to route them through that. As to whether they have reached the members of parliament, that one you have to follow through later. And your attention has been drawn to the challenges you've been meeting. So in making statements, you don't say, you can say off the cap of your head as to what has reached this and what hasn't reached this. There are challenges along the way. And he in particular raised his challenge, and his constituents are listening to him. You see, and so this is a very delicate, very serious matter when it comes to elections, particularly in Ghana. So this is not the time for this kind of exchanges. As the minister himself has proposed, we can find space to go through this in detail, honorable members, so that we'll get a clarification for you to go back to your constituencies. By any case, don't be worried about these things, because the people have already decided. It's not this your current interventions. I've been in politics for a long time. I know I always win my elections long before election time. You know, it's not during just these few days that you win elections. And that's why I kept on drawing your attention to your performance for all the 4 years, not just 1 month or 1 week to election. May I allow please, we have to end this matter and move to other business. It's just business statement. I just want to get the response from the majority leader as chairman of the business committee. Please. Business statement. Well, if you are going on to a different issue on the business statement, then I'll start with my usual seniority, which is the order of parliament. I'll start with Honorable Cletus Avoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from practice, or past experience, we know that we have this October to stay in Parliament, and then November we will break so that honorable members can go and campaign for 7th December election. I was thinking that the business statement will indicate how long we are going to be in the House between today and the other end of October or first week of November,
so the members will know the period ahead of them and program themselves. But as at now, we don't know how long we are going to be in Parliament. We don't know whether it will take another 2 weeks to be here or 3 weeks to be here, so that we can adequately program ourselves and then address the issues that we have in our respective constituencies. So I thought that if the majority leader knows the type of business he has presented just for this week, the type of business, he shall indicate what he wants us to do for the next 2 weeks, at least up to the end of October or first week of November. And then by consensus, we agree whether we have 2 weeks left or 3 weeks left for us to work and then be able to go to our respective constituencies to finalize our campaign and the elections. In the absence of that, I think that would be very, very difficult for members to work within the ambit of the time that we have. We don't even know how long we can be here. So once he's here, he knows the business that government has. He should indicate to us how long we are going to be here and when we are breaking for elections. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Jinapo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this is not on the issue of the fertilizer. If you look at the business statement on page 1, you see presentation of first reading of bills. Several bills in respect of the energy sector. Critical among them is the proposal to merge Bui Power and the VRA. Mr. Speaker, following our clear stance that we will not support this, the minister responsible for energy, Minister Herbert Crapper, revealed on the 4th of October, that was Thursday, after meeting VRA staff, that government had taken a decision to withdraw these bills. And so what surprises me is that today, despite government's assurance that these bills will be withdrawn, we are seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bills, and 5 out of them has to do with the energy sector related issues. So I thought that the majority leader would have stood down in regard to government assuring that they will no longer proceed with them, because the Speaker, we've stated explicitly, without any equivocation, that we will not support these bills. And so my majority leader, you may want to clear the air as to whether indeed the minister's statement stands or you intend proceeding with these bills. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Bauer, then after you, the majority leader.
Hello? Good, thank you. Okay. Oh, it's okay, I'll use this. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I need some information, at least from the majority leader, and for that matter, the leadership. You recall that Parliament, through the Finance Committee, was asked to give the Finance Minister an opportunity to use at least, I think it's around 500 million Ghana cedis from the contingency fund as part of the support that they needed for this drought issue. I do know that, yes, the procedure is that when the Finance Committee gives the approval, it is okay to go. However, the last time we were here during the recall, the understanding was that there had not been a consensus or maybe an agreement, a final decision for the approval of this amount. My information I have from members of the committee is that a decision had not been taken. I would want to know from the majority leader whether a decision was taken and whether government has been communicated to have that they have the approval to use at least 500 million Ghana cedis from the contingency fund. I just want to have that information, please. Thank you.
Yes, majority leader, you may have the last word. But most of these issues you are raising is question time. If you have issues on these things, you pose questions. But comments during business statement presentation, it takes it out of context. Yes, please, you may respond.
Mr. Speaker, please, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleading you this side of the House
We have been standing for more than 10 times, and your eye has not caught us. So we are appealing that maybe you help us before, just the last one, before the majority leader. It's on the same statement, please, the business statement, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, sorry that you didn't catch my eye anyway. It's not my eye that should catch you. You have to catch my eye. Sorry. So I will come to you. I will come to you. Yes.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, he will come to me.
Majority Leader, you may go on.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that the issues that have been raised could be explored using other procedures. However, I've taken note of a lot of them, and I would like to work together with my colleagues to enable them have answers to some of the concerns. On the issue particularly raised by my respected colleague John Jinapo, yes, it is true. I am aware of the statement by Honorable Krapper to the effect that these bills are to be withdrawn. But as you know, this is a house of rules and procedure. Once we are in possession of a document, it becomes our property, and we are to proceed on them. These are indicative. They are not, cast in stone. So until he comes formally to withdraw, they remain in our records. So be assured, I want to lend support to that if he comes to withdraw it formally, so be it. But he's giving an indication that that's the position. So there's no cause for alarm. Mr. Speaker, without more, I would move that.
Yes, just before that, let me just listen to the cry of the honorable member.
Very well.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I'm Honorable Kuma Kintamponov. Mr. Speaker, my senior colleague, my senior member, Honorable Dafia Makbo, rose an important issue here, but it's like there's no reply to it. He quoted CI 126 about the Electoral Commission issue of exhibiting the voter register, which must be done at where they register the people. That's the polling stations. But it's like the Electoral Commissioner is not going by the law. That's the Regulation 2452, Regulation 231 and 3. She is not going by that law, and is rather trying to bring in a new law by which she is doing it online. And that is against this regulation. We were thinking there will be a reply to that, and it's like being brushed off. This is very important because this is what is going to give us the rightful information. Mr. Speaker, in Kintampo North, most of my communities do not have this rural telephony. And for my old lady at Bani and Busema or at Kunsu to be able to get a phone and to check online is an impossibility. And so, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleading that this house is a house of laws. We should plead that the Electoral Commissioner do the needful by exhibiting the voter register, if even they will do it by clusters. Instead of online, this house has that power to demand of it so that all the populace will be fairly treated. I so plead, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker.
members, well, this is an urgent request. We'll try through the majority leader, get in touch with the Electoral Commission for them to appear before this house. Either tomorrow or tomorrow next, just respond to these things. The majority leader may not be in the position to give you any response because it doesn't work at the Electoral Commission. It can only pass on information. The other issue on the bills, please let it be known by all of you that I have not admitted these bills at all. I don't know how they found themselves on the order paper. And I queried the table office on that. I have not admitted them. Before business come before the House, they have to be admitted, and you go through the standing orders, you see the processes that you pass through when they are private business and when they are public business. It's only when they are admitted by the Speaker that they are processed by the clerk's office to the business committee, who then arrange them for the week. And these are now taken on to order paper for each day. So I have not admitted these businesses, the bills that are before us. And so they are actually not before us because they've not even been presented. And so those who have them still have them. They've not been submitted to the House, and they are not before the House. With this, I think that we will take the business statement as adopted, subject to the comments that have been made, and then the follow-up actions will be taken. Honorable members, I plead with you to take a few minutes and then we come back. Just from 5 minutes. Yes?
Since we are doing light business, there are papers to be laid, just few.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Oh, very well, Mr. Speaker.
5 minutes suspension.
Okay, very well, Mr. Speaker, that is agreed.
Sex is a beautiful thing.
I know, right?
Sex lowers your blood pressure.
Sex lowers your blood pressure.
Yes, it does.
What makes it healthy?
For every round of sex, you burn 250 calories. Sex is the best stress reducer ever, but for the male and the female gender, yes.
Right there.
We begin 2024 with our first episode of Moons and Cuddles, and today we're discussing the health benefits of sex. I believe it's a subject you'll be interested in because, as usual, should I say, apart from children, I believe everyone else is having sex, and we want to look at the health benefits. And today I have with me the beautiful, ever-blooming sex and family therapist, Princessa
Agri.
Princessa Agri is my guest today on the Moons and Cuddles. Welcome, Princessa.
Thank you, darling.
And my name remains Patricia Roxanne Hammond. The health benefits of sex. Please educate us, because I know sex is one difficult topic to talk about, because I believe it's all because of our upbringing. It's something we hardly talk about, but it's something that when we start discussing it, talking about the benefit, talking about the do's and don'ts, it's going to help a lot of homes. For those believing God for pregnancy and families, those going through trauma, and you know it all. Please help us.
Thank
the
you
health
for having
benefits of
me.
sex. So we'll have to do both the men and then the women.
Okay, I think I would just maybe put them a little bit in a box and then I'll start separating
Sure.
them. Sex is a beautiful thing.
I know, right?
Especially in the confines of marriage. Yes, because why I say it's a beautiful thing in the confines of marriage, because you won't have to be thinking too many things. What are we? Who are we? Who are us? You know, after the whole thing. But the beautiful thing of sex is that it comes with its own benefits. It's not just for us to multiply and replenish the earth and blow it off to 9 billion people if we are not already up to 9 billion. But it's also very, very healthy to have sex.
What makes it healthy?
First and foremost, sex lowers your blood pressure.
Sex lowers your blood pressure.
Yes, it does, because when you have sex and then you have sweet sex, not forceful sex, please, which is rape. You have sex with your partner or your spouse, then you get to orgasm. Do you know what it does? It releases a lot of oxytocin and dopamine into your system that if your blood pressure was skyrocketing, it will just bring it down, because you have all these happiness hormones being released into you. And
That is after sex?
Yes, and then it lowers your blood pressure.
Did you hear that? Sex lowers blood pressure.
Yes, and it also helps in combating heart disease. Like, yes, because imagine you're having a tight artery. Your heart is going to pump twice the time to pump more blood into your body, because your genitals need blood to function, especially when you are aroused. Is blood going very quickly from your heart down to your genitals.
Okay.
So it's going to expand your blood vessels and pump blood. So you see, it reduces the risk of heart disease. That's another benefit of having sex. That's another health benefit of having sex. And it also boosts your immune system. It does boost your immune system.
So it lowers blood pressure, it helps with cardiovascular diseases, and then it boosts your immune system. So you don't have to rely on the vitamins.
Do you know what sex does?
Tell me.
For every round of sex, you burn 250 calories. Yes.
Okay. For both the men and the women.
Both the men and the women.
Because it's mostly, let's say it's sometimes 60% the men in action.
If I feel sex should be mutual.
Okay.
You don't just have to let it be for you alone. Or you have to put the woman into the mood. You have to depend on foreplay. You have to boost her sexiness even before the main thing. I think that's where men get it wrong a lot of times.
Okay.
You will not mind the woman throughout the day. And then in the night, you want to have something very wet and sweet down there. You won't have it. You're going to have a cranky woman when you just come. Your mind is your biggest sex organ. Sex happens in the mind.
Yeah.
First. If it doesn't work in the mind, the other part is just for show. Right? So, if you want to make this woman very relaxed, both of you are off maybe minding your own businesses that you came to do. You send, hello, hi, sexy, how are you? I can't believe I married such a beautiful woman. Maybe if she has lovely lips like you do, your husband can say, oh, you have beautiful lips. I can't wait to kiss it. Hey, she will apply the lip gloss or the lipstick more, you know, or I can't just wait to touch the softness of your body. You telling a woman that alone will boost her self-esteem.
And it sends the message right there.
Yes. And she's ready. And she'll be like, really? My skin is soft. Maybe she was thinking her skin was dry and stuff. My husband says my skin is soft. And then you find out that she comes back home, she goes into the bathroom, she scrubs, she applies a lotion. Oh, yeah, I have a soft skin.
Yeah.
She'll be making her own TV advert in front of the mirror. That's another health benefit. You've boosted someone's self-esteem. The same thing with the man too. The woman sends him compliments. God, you're the best thing that has ever happened to me. I just can't wait to ride you. And for the men, if they read that, they might have instant erection. So yeah, because of how they are
sending
wired.
the positive compliments and all that. Even if it's not true, at least try and create something
And then you
just
see
to
him,
make the person.
His shoulder pads will go high. In his head, he'll be singing, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh.
That's nice.
And then you compliment the man. You compliment him and say, oh, I can't wait for you to kiss me. You kiss me so good. I tell you, he will go, if he's in the office, he will go buy a toothbrush to brush his teeth before he comes home. So that he could kiss you from the door. Or he's going to throw mints into his mouth to kiss you from the door.
And I believe that rings in the mind the whole day, like wanting to get home to meet your partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then other health benefit of sex is especially during menses. And a lot of us, we shy away from menstrual sex. No, we've heard it's unclean, it's dirty. Come on. Menses is not dirty. Menses is your life force.
You know, there's this thing like okay, so I'm still going to list what you mentioned. Healthy sex lowers blood pressure. Healthy sex helps with cardiovascular diseases. Healthy sex boosts your immune system. And the fourth one is healthy sex. The pressure, period pains.
Yes.
It helps with period pains.
Yes, with period pains.
But with the periods, it helps with the cramps. Whilst you are in your flow. Because I'm wondering, you're in pain, the blood is flowing, you wet the whole place with blood, like sting the whole place with blood. How does it help? I'm looking at the whole scenario. Yeah.
Okay, this is it. If both of you are comfortable with each other, I will recommend having period sex under the shower. If you're scared of seeing blood.
Having period sex under the shower.
Yes.
So whilst you're having sex, the shower must be on to be washing away the blood.
Yes.
Okay.
You have that. And then another thing again is that if you really want to enjoy period sex, don't have it on the first and the second day. It should be on the third and the fourth day.
Okay.
That's why you enjoy it. Because when you take your bath, the period won't come.
It doesn't come immediately. Yeah.
And then you could have sex and it will
reduce
the cramps that you have. And man, you have free lubrication there. And some women actually get pregnant during those times, because most of them, their body, some women are ovulating while they're seeing their period.
Okay, so the ovulation doesn't happen
the
14th day. prior to the period.
Yes.
Whilst you're in the period, that is when ovulation. No, or maybe ovulation happens few days to the period.
Few days to the, just like maybe a day after the period, or it's just coming down a day after. So most of the time, I've had cases where the people didn't have a child for some years, but when they tried period sex, they got pregnant, and they got to find out that they have to have sex during the third and the fourth day of seeing their menses, of their flow.
Yeah.
That was when they got pregnant. So
it's also okay. So
I know if some people were like, no, go ask your medical professionals.
Yeah.
Yes, they will tell you.
Because I'm hearing this for the first time.
Oh, it does.
Period sex can help you conceive quickly if you believe in like for so many years and there's nothing happening.
So try period sex.
Try period sex if you're believing to conceive and nothing is happening. So just try period sex according to Madam Princessa Agri. She's a family and a sex therapist. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Me too. I don't get tired talking about sex.
I told you. See, it's what you don't get tired.
I don't get tired talking about sex. I don't get tired. Another health benefit of sex is that when we talk about health benefit of sex, please, both of you have to be STI, STD free. Right? If not, you just be exchanging.
Reinfecting each other.
Yes, doubling each other's viral load. No, you're infecting each other. So the thing is, both of you have to be healthy sexually to have it. And then, health benefit of sex is this. It gives you beautiful skin.
That is why we normally say women are glowing after sex.
Of course. You have good orgasms, you just be glowing. Your collagen is released into your system. Don't you know that? Haven't you maybe messed up? Maybe when you were in secondary school, you have this teacher that was unmarried and she was the crankiest of them all. What do you students used to say then?
She's having a lot of sex.
No, she's not having sex. That's why she's cranky.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the teacher is unmarried, maybe.
And then others women say, I think this woman needs sex.
Yes.
When she gets someone to lay her, she will come back to normal. And the days you see her all smiley all over the place, something happened last night.
Yes. So another health benefit of sex is that it helps with your skin. It makes you glow.
What about the man?
The same thing with the man. The same thing with the men.
Okay, it's mostly with the women that we say, oh, you're glowing.
Look at the man. If a man is having good sex, I can tell.
Oh, okay.
I can tell when a man is having good sex. I can tell. It shows in their skin. It shows in the spring of their walk. It shows in the way they smile.
Does lots of sex make you put on
weight?
Yes.
No, it
makes you gain weight, or it
only make you gain weight in your hips. If you're a lady, that's when it will be visible. And for the ladies, maybe if you don't have money to go to the gym, or you're lazy about the gym, your man is your gym. Please get on the gym machine. And
so is it that you have to rather be on top?
Yes, you have to be on top and practice your squats.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it helps. It helps when you have sex, like maybe you have sex like 5 times a week.
5 times?
Didn't you see that man that said men should have sex 21 times a month? So come on, Trisha.
5 times? Okay, 5 times a week.
Okay, let's say 3 times a week.
It's possible. I thought of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but anyway.
No, let's put it to 3 times a week. Sunday morning sex is very, very interesting. Of course. Leave first service for single people. Leave first service for single people. You that is married. Sunday morning sex. You know, the children tend to sleep longer on Sunday morning.
Yes.
Oh, when the man erection is there, you could climb it. And then if your wife is just sleeping butt naked, and then you run your hand under there, you see it's dripping wet. It's always dripping wet in the mornings. And then, come on, Sunday morning is a fellowship. Sex is a devotion, I always say.
Okay. We'll have to go on break. Sex is the devotions. Early Sunday morning sex.
On SMS.
For short, SMS. I believe you enjoyed this conversation. And today is, okay, let me just leave the day out. But just have that in mind. If you didn't hear anything, know that Sunday sex is SMS is also very important. Sex makes you glow, both the men and the women. Sex helps you with cardiovascular diseases. Sex, healthy sex, boosts your immune system and then lowers blood pressure. We'll be right back after this break.
Everyone needs the perfect snack to munch on during a fun moment.
Wow.
Enjoy the tasty McBerry Twist cupcakes,
Wow.
deliciously baked and packaged for a sweet treat. Premium quality cakes baked with love for all, enriched in butter and milk.
Yummy.
Oh, McBerry Twist cupcakes, simply irresistible. Try one today. This advert is FDA approved.
Esther Mons and Cuddles here on GhanaWeb TV with me, Patricia Roxanne Hammond. Today we're discussing the health benefits of sex. And my guest has been Madame Princessa Agri. She's a family and sex therapist. Before we went on break, she told me about the fact that healthy sex helps lowers blood pressure. That's high blood pressure. It helps with your cardiovascular diseases. Period pains also helps reduce the cramps. And those who are believing to conceive and there is nothing happening, you should try having sex in between periods because it helps a lot. And as much as it will help you conceive quickly, it can also reduce the cramps you're going through. Yeah. And it's good to compliment. You need to compliment your partner. Before you initiate anything, try and then compliment your partner. Like say nice things to them before you start, because that alone releases a lot of happiness hormones, as she said. It releases lots of happiness hormones. And then it makes the women glow and makes the men also glow. It gives you beautiful skin. We are continuing the conversation, and I believe you are getting educated and enjoying it. Health benefits of sex.
Yes. Oh,
So we continue.
The way you look at me like, how benefit of sex? Okay, so what do you have in your box?
I want to know all, because it's something we hardly talk about.
Okay, if someone is having insomnia or sleep disorders,
it happens a lot.
A good sex helps you sleep.
Okay.
Yes, and make sure it's not just sex. Get to orgasms. You will sleep off. Yeah.
Orgasm for the woman and then ejaculation for the man.
Men too have orgasms. There's a difference between orgasms and ejaculation.
Tell
Most
me.
most men think they've had orgasms, but what they've had is ejaculation.
So what happens when they have orgasm? How does it?
If they have orgasms, sometimes they might not ejaculate, but they go through
There's
the
this satisfaction
experience. They
within.
go through this experience. Men, toe coiling orgasms from the crown of their head down to their feet. They could feel that sensations all over their body. Yes.
Without ejaculating?
Yes,
I
without
thought because they make it look like ejaculation is like the helm of everything.
No, ejaculation is not the helm of everything. Like in my master classes, I show men how they could have full body orgasms. Yes, most women just have clitoral orgasms.
Yeah.
But they don't have the full body orgasms.
So can we dissect this? I want to understand like the orgasm for the male and then the female, like the full body orgasm. What is that?
A male can have orgasms once and then it's okay. But a woman can keep having orgasms even after the sex.
Okay.
Yes. So if orgasms, I don't know how, orgasms is experience. there's this knowing, you know that, oh, there's this
satisfaction
in you. You feel it. These neurotransmitters are being released into your body. That not. I know some neurotransmitters are released when you are being touched, when you have sex talk, or when you're being kissed and stuff. But the main neurotransmitters is like just opening a nuclear head, and then it goes. Is when you have full body orgasms. So when you have full body orgasms, you will sleep off, like sleep. If you, the woman, you don't want to get out of bed, even if your baby's crying. You just find out that you sleep, and when you wake up, you feel very, very relaxed. For the male and the female, so it helps if you're having sleep disorders. Maybe you are trying to catch up on doomsday is spoiling your to-do list, and then trying to catch up.
Yeah, but you know, this doomsday is bringing a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And discomfort, like you can't sleep well, you are sweating. How does that help? Like,
I will advise nobody should have sex during this heat, because when you have sex, you generate heat.
When there is doomsday in quotes, when there is power outage, there should be power outage for the body as well.
Yes.
No sex.
No sex, please. The weather is too hot. Just imagine the sweat.
Yeah.
You're sweating already. Oh, they should have. Come on. This light is our right. They should release it. And then another thing, the health benefit of sex is that it helps if you're going through anxiety and depression. That's why the Bible will say that it's not good.
Be anxious for nothing.
Yes, it's not good for a man to be alone. Because when those anxiety comes, when those depression comes, at least you have someone you talk to, and then you will end up having sex. It brings it down.
It brings it down. Oh, okay.
Yes, it does brings it down. And then if you're stressed, super stressed at work, at your business place and stuff, just maybe you come back home and then your husband say, babe, how was your day? And then, you know, we women would like to explain from when the traffic lights, they go. And he's like, okay, no problems, just sit down, have some water, have some food. And then maybe he runs your bath water for you. And then both of you, you know, when you're married for long, you could actually enjoy each other's poop smell. And then if you are just having a discussion in the bathroom, and then he walks into the shower while you're bathing. Look, let me just scrub your back. You know, if men say, let me scrub your back or massage your back. It always ends. It always ends.
You don't have your free. You don't just have the massage and go. Something must.
Oh, there must be an entry. So just imagine you're stressed, and then all this happen, and then you have some good sex. It reduces the stress. But I think the men have it better.
Yeah.
Yes, the men, they do have it better. Like, they calm the wife, and then you just have the stress, the sex. Their stress level goes from 100 to 0.
Yeah.
Yes. So most times, women don't understand when their husband wants to have sex with them when they're super stressed in the office. It's kind of a mechanism in men that tells them sex reduces stress. The men know. So
and immediately they have sex with their partners.
Yes,
they just sleep off.
They sleep off.
And then you realize the woman is awake, wondering, but why are you
He
asleep?
was reducing stress. The stress he was going through, he can't tell you. He can't tell you right now. It was just that sex was going to, like his medicine, like something was going to calm him down. Yes. I think sex is the best stress reducer ever. But for the male and the female gender, yes, it is. It is. It is. It reduces stress a lot. Try it. I'm telling you, try.
Please take note. Sex is the best stress reliever. In case you're stressed, I think it should just be for married people, Wana.
For married people, though, because if you're married, don't say, "Oh, Sessa said we should have sex." Please, marry. When you marry, you have the license to
have sex
anywhere. But not in public places, please.
Oh, obviously.
Decorum.
Morning, afternoon, evening, anytime. When you're stressed, you know your partner is at home. Oh, so what happens to those whose partners are out of town?
That is why I don't advise that couples should be far apart for a long time. Maybe because of work or something, people should create a time when one person can visit the other at least twice in a year.
Okay.
But keep your communication lines open. That's the most important thing. The communications lines should be open, because without mutual communication, without constant communication, sex is a no-no.
Okay. So we've spoken about stress reliever. We've spoken about depression and anxiety. We've spoken about... I'm just enjoying the conversation, you know. So it's relief stress. Good sex relieves you of the stress for both the male and then the female.
It helps with sleep.
It helps with sleep. It helps with the pain. I think that was what we spoke about in the first
Yes.
segment. Yeah, let's continue. I'm getting so interested.
Oh, Patricia. Oh, if we want to talk about sex, we'll leave here. We won't leave here.
I'm so interested.
Do you know sex also boosts your creativity?
Sex boosts creativity.
Yes, it does.
I know women will love to sing after sex. You don't know where the song comes from, but something just within, you just start singing. And it's mostly Thanksgiving songs.
You're having it good, so why won't you sing? If you're not having good sex, you won't sing.
Okay.
So it's...
As you said, it releases the happiness hormones
within
so.
you, and then it also boosts your creativity. You find that let me say you're a creative person. Check, immediately you have sex. All the ideas, they start coming. Yes, they do. They start coming. You tend to like, light bulb moment. Then you get up to put those things into work, or you put them into writing and stuff. You found that you could do this thing. It goes down and boosts your creativity if you're a creative person.
So this goes out to all the creative graphic designers out there and other creative departments. Good sex brings a lot of ideas. Like, you're sitting down, you're asking, like, how do I put this together?
That's sometimes I would tell couples to, if your husband or your wife have a private office, sometimes surprise them with office sex.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, leave the bedroom.
Be creative.
Be creative, because
spontaneous, anywhere, everywhere.
If the bedroom
apart from public, yeah.
Yeah. If the bedroom should have lips, they will tell people, guys, get out of here. Some people haven't had sex. Some people haven't had sex apart from their bedrooms.
Yeah.
But they have other rooms. They have the kitchen, they have the living room, they have the dining, they have the laundry room, they have the balcony. Imagine having sex on your balcony under the full moon. Yes.
That is when everybody's asleep.
Yes, of course. If you have children, send them to their grandparents, please.
and make it a sex day.
Yeah, have a sex date.
Yeah.
If you're having problems, some people say, oh, but Cesar, the sex doesn't come. Schedule sex. Schedule sex. Said, okay, you and your husband have a date night, or go out on a date to plan your sex life. Say, okay, for the month of April we are going in. How are we going to improve on our sex lives? Okay, Monday, Tuesday, look for a day when you both are free. Okay, maybe on Friday, right? We'll have a sex date. Start from Thursday to plan the Friday. Start sending each other maybe little gifts. You come back home with little gift for tomorrow. We're having a sex date, and maybe if you're the man, you could give her money to go get her nails done, her hair done, or maybe get waxed. Or both of you could actually plan having waxing together or pedicure.
So we'll talk about that in our next discussion.
So you see, if you don't have this sex date plans, most people will just say, anytime the sex come, no. When you plan it, you're going to benefit this healthy. You're going to have this healthy benefits all down, because if it's coming by heart, it's not interesting.
Wow. I think little is thought about when it comes to sex. because it's all about the satisfaction and everybody goes their way. Others is just for the procreation and we go away, but we hardly pay attention to its health benefit. And that is very, very important. I'm glad we had this conversation, and I wish to have you on set again for another one where we get to now take it individual, like the male, what are you supposed to do, and then the female, what are you supposed to do to help with the sex, to make it more healthier and more enjoyable. Yeah. I'm glad you made it today.
Thank you so much.
My guest has been Madam Princessa Agri. She is a family and a sex therapist, and the show has been Moans and Cuddles. We discuss the health benefits of sex. We'll be coming your way next week with a part 2 of this conversation. I believe you enjoyed it. My name is Patricia Roxanne Hammond. Until then, stay blessed.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kolebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@ghanaweb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation in
2007. I was Ghana Police Service.
The sad reality is that today our democracy as a country is threatened.
Words of affirmation or love language comes to edge us.
When this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden